Is that a breakup?
I think we have a situation right here.
On the Feeling Station.
Welcome to The Feeling Station, a podcast that touches on breakup stories that people would like to talk about with a view to give lessons that they learned from their experiences. We hope you find the stories entertaining, but more importantly, meaningful, given the lesson behind everything we are going to talk about today. Now, I must say, I am constantly elated whenever I have somebody who I have never met, never had a conversation with, and I'm talking to for the first time in studio, and that's the situation that I have. Welcome and thank you.
Thank you so much.
Now, the Feeling Station talks about breakup stories, and we have very candid conversations.
Yeah.
And so I need to gauge, how open do you feel you can be with your breakup story?
100%.
And if something becomes too hot, this is not one of those kitchens that you run out of. You are stuck in this kitchen. You're going to have to burn and tell it right to the end. You okay with that?
Very okay with it.
Fantastic. So in the tradition of the podcast, what's really important is to keep things anonymous. So the audience cannot know your name and the audience cannot know the person that you were with. So in normal tradition, I got a piece of paper here with a name. And the name that I have here is the one I'm going to refer to you for the entire episode, which I think is going to be relatively easy for me because it's our first time meeting.
Yeah.
So the name that I've picked out is a name called Tabo. Tabo. This is an African name, and it means he who brings joy, and that comes from Southern Africa. So a combination of Zimbabwe and South Africa use that name. Tabo. So when I say Tabo, you have to engage me because this is who you are to me now.
Cool, let's do
Now,
it.
in front of you, you've got a pair of names as well.
Yep.
That is the name of the person that you are going to talk about today. Now, I've made an assumption. I need to stop making this assumption. I've made the assumption you were in a heterosexual relationship, so you're with a female.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Correct.
Fine. So those are female names in front of you. If you want to pick one of those, tell us what the name is, what the meaning is, and what the origins of the name is.
Monifa.
Monifa?
Is it Monifa?
Yeah? How do you spell that?
Moni. I'm not sure if it's T or A.
Yes, F.
Oh, yeah, Monifa.
Monifa. Okay.
I'm
What does that
lucky.
mean?
I'm lucky.
I'm lucky.
Yeah.
And where's that from?
Says Yoruba, Nigeria. I doubt that.
I blame that on the internet. Okay, so the lady's name is Monifa. That's the one that we're going to stick to. Now, you're going to constantly need to remind yourself that that's what her name is. If you want to shorten it, please go ahead. But it's going to be a weird one to shorten, isn't it? You can't really shorten
Yeah, I'll
Monifa.
just say Monifa, yeah.
And it means that lucky?
Oh, yeah. Monifa, yeah.
Oh, Monifa.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's correct, yeah.
Okay, what does that mean?
Yeah, I'm lucky, yeah.
They're lucky. Now, how accurate a representation of your situation is that name? Were you lucky to be with this lady that you're about to talk about? Or was she lucky to have you?
She was lucky to have me.
Ooh, that's a very bold statement.
Yeah.
How so?
I remember we met in 2010.
Yeah.
We met through a friend. So I used to lead a music group way back in West Africa. And then I had an assistant. She was ready to marry. She was dating someone at the time, but she wasn't really happy. So I linked her up with a friend. Now, to cut the long story short, now they're married with 2 kids, just because I linked them. So
Well done.
Yeah, thank you. And but then how I met her was at a party that my assistant invited me to. So we had most of the music group members there, and she was just walking back and forth, helping and serving food.
Yeah.
And jokingly, everyone just said, "Oh, that's your wife." And then I didn't give it any.
Any thought?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
But they planted the seed.
yes,
Okay.
so she would come to where we sing, and then just come around without any reason, but just come around every time, every week. So that left something in my mind. And like, why she was coming around? And then she would
Yes.
come around to say hi after the end of the show.
To you, specifically to you.
Yes. So
Okay.
I'm like, okay, I think there's something here.
Okay.
But then for someone like me, I'm an introvert. So when someone comes to say hi, I'm quickly to just say hi and
And go. Okay.
Yeah. So it happened that I was about relocating from West Africa to the UK.
Yeah, yeah.
and we didn't talk for a couple of weeks before then. And she happened to be traveling to the UK too on the same day with her family.
She was traveling to the UK as well?
Yes. So
On the same day that you were traveling to the UK?
Yes, but we didn't tell each other. But we met at the airport.
Are you sure this woman was not tracking you somehow, somewhere? Because that is way too much of a coincidence, if you ask me. One, she's visiting you regularly during these rehearsal sessions.
Yes.
And then you're at the airport at the same time.
Yes. She was there with her dad and her youngest brother, and that was the first time I met the dad.
Okay.
And I was just like, I think there's something there if we're traveling together at the same time. I
Because there's no coincidence in the world, is there?
Because I booked my ticket in like less than 24 hours, so.
Hmm.
So I'm not sure there was any. Maybe.
Very big chance, maybe.
Maybe she had someone
watching you
through my phone.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but we weren't on the same flight, but she was on another airline. But we spoke for some time, and then we planned to meet somewhere in London, and that was the first time we met.
So I'm guessing you guys have exchanged numbers at some point. Is this at the airport or whilst you guys were
exchanged
there?
numbers like
prior
at the party, I think.
Okay.
Just to say hi, and then we kept on chatting like small talks. Yeah, and. Well, I think I knew there was something there, but it was the sort of relationship where we started 2 years in with, I thought we were just like close friends, but then I didn't have to ask the question. It was just one random day. She was like, we've been talking for 2 years now, so where are we going with this?
Whoa, hold up a sec. Hold up. Normally when that question is asked, is because you both have equal chemistry and it kind of just mellows into something that you can tell that we're going to have something important here. So were you guys talking as friends or you're talking as potential relationship people that eventually triggered her to say, okay, tell me where this is going?
I think we're talking as friends, but I'm a Scorpio.
Yeah.
We can be flirty a lot of times.
Okay. Yeah. That's what I was after. Because... I mean, I don't know if women would normally feel that way unless we've dropped in a little something as a guy. So you skipped an important piece of information there, Mr. Tabo. Okay, so one of the things that's important before we go too far is that I need to draw whatever lessons you learned from your breakup. So the breakup happened. You learned something as an individual. You learned one or two things, however number of things you learned. What are those things that you learned? Because I want the audience listening to this podcast to take away those lessons, just in case they can help somebody who's listening to it. What did you learn from your breakup?
Communication is key.
I have to stop you there because the past 4 episodes I've recorded have all involved communication.
Yes, because people always think they talk.
As the main problem.
People always think they talk, but most of the time you don't talk about things that matter. I think we spent 5 to 6 years of the time talking about crazy things. We didn't talk about, and I think that is a fault from my end because for the 5-6 years, all we kept talking about is where to travel to, how am I going to buy a car? How is she going to pull through school? We didn't talk about the
shallow
future.
stuff. It was all surface level stuff.
Yes. And then the conversation, we didn't talk about church. We didn't talk about beliefs. We didn't talk about the things. And I think I left that to the last year. I left that to the very last day I saw her. And that was something I keep blaming myself for. In the relationship, I was the one always doing the talking most of the time. So, and leading most of the things. She's laid back, I'm laid back, but I took the role of just
pushing things forward.
And I left it to the very last time I ever saw her. And that was in April 2017.
Wow. So first lesson, communication is important. Do you have any other lessons that you learned from that breakup?
Always recognize the red flags.
Oh my God.
There are so many red flags that I saw in 6 years, and because I had a lot of care there, I wouldn't say I was blindly in love with her. Yes, I had things. I had affection towards her, but I saw a lot of things that I just waved off to say, oh, okay, maybe this was a mistake. Maybe she will change. Maybe she was just scared to tell me how this thing, things are. And I didn't just see 1 or 2 flags. I saw like 5 to 10 flags in 5 to 6 years.
This is a hot one. I can tell this is going to be a hot story.
And people say time heals
Yeah.
everything. No, it's the things that happen over time that changes things. Have I
Okay.
gotten over what happened? Maybe a little bit, but sometimes I still reflect on the things, and I told myself,
It's been 3 years.
why
though.
did you allow yourself to
Yeah.
to be in such a situation?
So that's the second lesson. Do you have another one, or it's just those 2?
I think those red flags cover a lot of things.
Okay, good. So you guys have met at the airport. You've exchanged numbers. You're now in the UK. You've been talking for 2 years, and she's asked you the question, "What are we? Where's this going?"
Yes.
How did that move forward?
Again, we didn't have any deep talks at that time as well. We were just like, let's just see how things goes, and they just go with the flow.
But in the depths of your heart, which we all have, is an inner voice that constantly tells us something. One that says, "This is not going to work, leave it," or one that says, "Yeah, give it a shot. There's good potential." What was your inner you telling you at the time that she asked that question?
Truthfully,
Yeah.
I told myself, give it a shot, but then if it doesn't work out, just it's not the end of the world.
Okay. So you decided to go with the flow?
Yes.
And how's the flow moving?
I think going with the flow was one of the biggest mistakes too, because there was no. I left the intention to the last year as well, so I would say I take the blame for a lot of things.
That's a very brave thing to do, because a lot of people are not easy to accept blame for relationships in particular.
I take the blame for not being intentional about a lot of things till the last year. I think the last year was when I thought, because then she was in school, I wasn't. I was working here. She was in school way back in Nigeria, and she would always come into London during school breaks. So it was a long distance relationship.
Long distance, okay.
Yes.
It was long distance for how long?
For the space of 5 to 6 years. But then we spend most of the breaks together.
Yeah.
And then all we do is just go out, eat, see a movie, chill. Nothing deep.
Because I guess it's the best you could do at the time, given the circumstances, because you guys were in 2 different continents.
Yes.
And you weren't spending as much time as you could. And sometimes asking those difficult questions when you hardly see a person feels like you might rock the boat unnecessarily.
Correct.
And you're trying to preserve as much as you could off that.
Yes,
ship.
and I can say this as well. So in the space of the 5 to 6 years, we broke up twice.
Okay.
And in the breaking up twice, that gave me the opportunity, because I just felt this wasn't going anywhere at some point, because I wanted someone to be in the same city that I was, but then a part of me still wanted to push things forward, because I think I was a bit selfish at some point to think she's younger than me, so maybe she's not really exposed, so that is good for me.
So how much younger are we talking here?
We're talking 7 years.
7 years difference? Okay.
Yeah. So I felt okay, there'll be a lot of control there, and which is a bit selfish on my part as well. So so in the space of the 2 breakups, I had other relationships as well. Yep.
Not concurrently though. So you and her are in the relationship, you break up, and then you met someone else in between, and then that didn't work out, then you got back with her.
Yes.
So let's talk about the first breakup. Why did you guys break up the first time?
Oh, okay. That's one of the red flags. So like I said, I'm an introvert.
Yeah.
I'm very private as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
I like planning things and then sharing it off at the later part. There was a time we were supposed to keep some things to ourselves.
Is she an extrovert? Is she an introvert?
She's an introvert.
Okay.
So, so we said we're going to keep some things close to ourselves, and 2-3 weeks later, she already told her dad. She already told her best friend, and I was just like, So how do we move forward if every time we keep things to ourselves? So what do we have close to ourselves? So we have
Yeah.
nothing if you just keep telling other people things that we've said, okay, let's just keep things to ourselves for now and see how things will play out.
I'd like to get a feel of how personal an issue that was, and I'm going to be cheeky and ask, what is it that she spoke about that you wanted to keep to yourselves?
Okay, so she had a medical condition.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were supposed to spend some time to pray together first,
Mm-hmm.
and then wait for some time. But I think she was just pressured into a lot of things, and I get it. It's her life,
Yeah,
her
yeah.
health, and I think she just couldn't wait, and
Okay.
she had to tell people like
Okay.
so we're supposed to keep this close
Yeah,
first
yeah,
and
yeah.
see how things
Yeah.
goes.
Okay.
And we didn't talk for like 3 to 4 months that year
Because you're upset that she opened up about this thing, or
yes.
okay.
And I was just worried that she would have told other people about me about things I shared with her if she couldn't even keep things that's personal to her to herself for just a couple of weeks to see how things goes before we tell everyone. So I was worried for the things I've told her. So I just told myself, let's. I think we didn't really say we were breaking up. We just didn't talk again
Yeah.
for a couple of months, and yeah.
But did she understand why you were not talking to her?
Yes.
Okay. And she try and persuade you otherwise? Did she make that effort, or she just kind of said, "Look"?
She didn't make any effort.
Okay. Wow.
And that was the flag as well, because I thought, and I think I'm not going to say who is at fault at that time. I think we just got tired of talking to each other and the constant misunderstanding.
Yeah.
So I think we just give ourselves the space, and I have a lot of distraction. If you're 6'3", you get a lot of attention.
They call that tall, dark, and handsome.
Yeah, so I just got some distractions from some places. So
okay.
I took advantage of that.
Yeah. So you kind of say to yourself, look, I'm in a rubbish situation, and I'm getting this attention. Why not give that attention?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And then, how did you guys start talking again?
I texted her.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Did you miss her?
Yes, I missed the part of me always checking about her career, what the plan and goals for the future is. She's Monifa can be laid back when it comes to even her own life.
Yeah.
So I'm always the one saying, what do you want to do, or where do you see yourself in 5 years? She probably has no plans. And even if there's a plan, it's always at the very lowest level. So I wasn't comfortable with that. So for that 3 to 4, 5 months, I was worried about, is she doing the right things? Is she taking up the right business? Because she does some side jobs as well, apart from school. So I was like, is she charging people the right way? Because she used to, she's into catering and events. And she was also in the uni studying for, she was doing hospitality management. So I was always looking out for, are you charging people the right way? So I just texted her when I couldn't take it anymore. That was when the side relationship ended at the time. So
that you sound very supportive of her.
100%.
And was she equally supportive of you?
She has no clue what I do. I would tell her, okay, this is where I work now. And then 3 weeks later, you'd be like, oh, where do I work? Like, oh, I can't remember.
Maybe she just had a bad memory.
Oh, to someone that you claim you love?
Wow. So is that one of the red flags?
Yes.
She didn't care about you as much as she was supposed to?
Not at all. And when I found out, because it's happened over and over again, I'll be like, oh, babe, what do I do again? Like, I just know you work with computers and that's it. I'm like,
okay. Yeah. I mean, I would feel exactly the same.
Like, I would say some things about work and I'll mention names of people and she wouldn't even remember those things. So
was she interested in what you were doing?
100%.
So
she gave me the vibe that she was.
Okay. But then the reality of it almost felt otherwise because she just wouldn't remember, that stuff. Okay, so you've texted her. You're now I don't know, looking to re-engage, I'm guessing, to kick things off again.
Yes.
Okay. So it feels to me that the fire did ignite and start again because you guys broke up again at some point. So you'd have fallen in love again at some point.
Yes.
How did that go? The second time round.
Second time.
Yeah.
The second time was a very unique situation. So it was a best friend's wedding. The wedding didn't happen the first time because the best friend's mom was sick. So we planned to give the best friend as a gift from us her wedding cake.
Okay.
So at the first time that didn't happen, she had the money. So I sent the money to her saying, okay, just keep this.
Yeah.
And whenever she's ready or whenever your best friend's mom is fine and they're ready for the, yeah. So it was time for the wedding and she had a misunderstanding with her best friend. And then she said she wasn't going to go for the best friend's wedding.
Huh?
And I was like, are you really serious? So are you going to make the cake? She said yes, but she would send it through by taxi.
What?
And that was shocking because if this is your best friend, this is the only time she's going to ever get married anyway.
You want to do as much as you can.
Yes. And normally during weddings, the person that made the cake will probably come out to say things about the cake and things about
Yeah.
and she and I begged, I said it jokingly, I spoke with her other friends and she didn't go for it.
And you're saying all of this whilst you're in London.
Yes.
So all of this communication is via text, it's over phone.
Yes.
So you can't have that one-to-one look in the eye to say, look, what is going on? Why aren't you going for this wedding?
Yes.
What was going through your mind at that time?
Who is this human being? If I'm upset with someone, even if they invite me for their birthday or their wedding, the decent thing to do is to just show up and be there, and then you can pick up whatever
Afterwards.
Yes.
You know, just make their day special.
Yes. And
Okay.
she wasn't there, and one of the things that added to it was, I thought she would be accountable for a lot of things. I had to give the money for the cake twice.
So she ate that money.
It's fine to even eat the money, but she didn't even talk about it. So she was like, "Oh, babe, so we still need money for the cake." I'd be like, "But I sent it to you all the time," and she was like, "Yeah, but we need cash still." So I sent the money twice.
That was another red flag, wasn't it?
There wasn't maybe not a red flag because if you're in a relationship, these things happen. But when there's nothing to account for it and you just feel like there's you have this feeling like because she's comfortable, she has cash, she has everything she needs. She's the only daughter of her dad. Her dad is a retired politician, so she's comfortable. But when it comes to knowing that and you see that she didn't buy something new, but she's spending money on something you cannot really put your hands on. Yeah, that was a red flag for me until a friend called me to say in her school, she's always going to someone's house and she'll cook.
At this person's house.
Yes, and this person is a male. But then in my mind, I was like, maybe they're just friends and because she likes to cook, so maybe she was just going there to see.
You didn't know this guy?
Never met him. And the person that told me was very close to her. And another
was this a woman telling you? It was a guy telling you?
A guy telling me.
It was a guy, okay.
And my friend that introduced me to her also called me to say there was a day she came around, her phone was on, and they saw pictures. And still, I was like, I still trust her because we talk. I know her. I'm not sure she would do such a thing.
Jeez.
Or even if she's doing it, maybe she's just looking for a companion. Like she's looking for people to talk to, because you can easily tell where she goes.
Yeah.
The driver drives her to places, and she's back to the house.
Yeah.
And I know where she is. I know the places that she goes to.
So you knew her movements and you were quite okay with that. That's why these stories felt out of place, and you're like, nah.
So I thought, but think in between of her going to places, she has like time to also go to other
Yeah,
places.
there's a
now.
lay-by.
Yeah.
So one thing that happens very easily and quite common is that people see stuff. They don't say anything. And only after you've broken up do they come and say, hey, Tabo, yeah, we kind of knew because she was going to this person's house, that person's house. But this information is being presented to you when the relationship is still live.
Yes.
Why were you so blind to it? Is it because you were in love with her?
Yes, and there was a point at a point in my life I just didn't want to go through the stress of getting to know someone over again, and I was thinking about planning for the future, and I just wanted to close my mind to say this is the person and this is the person. Let's just get on with it.
So better the devil you know.
Yes.
Okay.
And in my mind, based on how she portrayed herself to me
Mm-hmm.
as quiet, naive.
I like how you said that. Feels like it was quite the opposite.
I was when we get to the
Okay.
last part of the story, you will
Cool.
see why I got fooled. She presented herself as naive, as well. After the whole thing ended, I told myself, "Who is this person I've
Yeah.
been talking to for the past 5 to 6
She
years?"
was a different human being
Yes,
altogether.
she told me about her mom, about how when she was born, her mom was a Ghanaian princess, and her dad Nigerian. And when her mom gave birth to her, the family didn't support of it, and she had to travel back to Ghana, so she didn't really get to know her mom. But then after we broke up, I found out that her mom is Nigerian. She visits her mom all the time in another
Jeez.
city. That shocked me
Whoa.
because there was a day we had, so I thought, a deep conversation of, oh, I never speak about what she's going through with her mom. And I was like, because I just didn't feel the time is right to talk about those deep things yet. She was always looking for pity in that area of, I don't even know what my mom looks like, and she's probably in a palace somewhere. And my mind like, oh, a Ghanaian princess. And my mind went, she's Nigerian. Her mom is not Ghanaian.
Jeez.
How would you lie to someone you claim you want to spend the rest of your life with?
With such important detail.
Yes. So if we're supposed to get married, am I supposed to see a Ghanaian mom?
Oh, of course, yes. These are cultural things. You're thinking ahead of time now, isn't it?
And one of the things that I think I knew down in my heart that we were going to break up because she never met my dad or my mom, but she met the rest of the family.
She didn't make the effort.
I didn't just push for it. She'll always come to London, but then I would just make sure that I always tell myself that my mom or my dad will see the person I will marry, not just show up with different people all the time. I wanted to be 100% sure. But she spoke with my mom on the phone. They would talk. I was literally her dad's best friend. We would talk about football. We'll talk about. I will pick up the dad at the airport when he's coming here to visit as well.
Yeah.
I never liked her stepmom, and I was vocal about it. I was open about it.
That must have been a strong dislike because you're quite introverted and you wouldn't normally talk unless you had to. But this one, you had to bring it out and say, mm-mm.
Yeah, the first time I saw her stepmom, she was too much for me. She had too much energy. She wanted me to be open as well for the first time.
She was overwhelming.
I like, nah.
Nah. Well, I'm going to reel it back a little bit.
Yes, please.
Because you've mentioned, so now you've been told 2 messages by 2 different people that, look, there seems to be a mysterious guy involved here. What happened next?
The mistake I made, I didn't speak to her about it.
About it, yeah. You had the opportunity to do so?
Yes.
So why didn't you speak about it?
I feel I don't live in the same city. So how did I find out? Meaning, then she would start getting suspicious about the people close to her. So I didn't talk about it.
So you wanted to protect the people around her
Yes.
more than protecting yourself potentially, because you could have been in a really tricky situation.
Correct.
Okay.
And I trusted her with a lot of things. She was in charge of my Nigerian account. So there are a lot of things that I like. There wasn't the need to look over everything that she's doing because I thought.
And you trusted her.
Yes.
So what happened next?
Okay. So we will talk about what she wants to do if she's going to move here permanently. she will come up with different things at different times.
There was always an
Today she
excuse.
today she wants to be a hotel manager. Tomorrow she wants to have a cake shop. And there wasn't like a lot of consistency there. And I'm an IT consultant. I've always had this clear picture as to what I want to do when I'm stopping the 9 to 5 job. And I've always been open about these things. And another red flag again is today she's in an Anglican church. Tomorrow she's in a Redeemed church. Tomorrow she's in another church. I wanted stability there, and I didn't have the boldness to sit her down to say, okay, for the future, as a family,
We're going to have to sit down and have a common foundation. Say, this is our religious home.
Today she's with the singing group. Tomorrow she's with the drama team in another church. Tomorrow or Wednesday she's fasting with another church. On Saturday she's probably in a friend invited her to another church. She'd be like, be stable. As a Christian, for me, that was a red flag. But I ignored it, saying, "Oh, when we get married, she won't have a choice but to follow me to my church."
Yeah.
The assumption that a grown up will just follow me to my church was one thing. I told myself we should have cleared this out a long time ago, and we should have cleared that a
Long time ago. Yeah. Now, when did the real crack come in that made you guys break up for the second time? Because so far, this really feels like it's a bit of a whirlwind of an experience with a lot going through your mind. But you're not saying this is the end. What drove the end?
Okay, before what drove the end, something happened. So a few things happened. Like she will come to the UK to visit. We will watch movies, and when they kiss in movies, she'll close her eyes like, "Oh no."
Oh my God.
And I'll be like,
oh,
"You're an
wow.
adult. Let's just watch and be fine."
All right, I'm going to ask you a very personal question. So did you guys ever kiss in this relationship that you're with her?
Yes. But
So why did you find kissing so...
The kissing was very awful as well.
Why? Oh, the kiss with her was very awful.
Awful, yeah.
Oh, that's terrible.
Because she came across to me as, "Oh, I'm the first," so she's still learning a lot of things. Well, in my mind, I was like, "Don't you watch movies? Don't you see how some things are done?" So in my mind, I was putting her through some things because the 7-year gap here. The 7-year gap here, and then I thought I was the one really exposed to things.
Oh, this is brilliant.
Little did I know that she was a professional there.
Really?
Yes. And then whenever she comes to whenever she comes to spend the holiday in the UK, her dad would give us the first 2 days to like catch up and stay with me before I take her back to the house.
Okay.
Yeah. So for us to just bond, go shopping and do stuff.
Oh my God. Okay, so she pretends that she doesn't like these kisses that she's seeing.
And we agreed there won't be sex until marriage. She wanted that.
So the whole time that you're with her, you guys did not have any intercourse at all?
At all. She wanted she made it a big deal, and she made me promise her. So and I told her, if this is what you want, and I think we got to that part of the no wanting sex after marriage, like 2 years before the breakup. That was when things became really serious. So we said, okay, no sex before marriage, and then we were true to that. Well, I was.
Yeah, I like that disclaimer. So she wasn't. That's the vibe I'm getting here.
She wasn't.
So who was she having sex with?
Yeah, so that is the main story. So in April 2017, she came to the country. Her dad was already around, and her dad was already talking to me about when are we having introduction. Let's meet the family just to settle things. I'm always frequent at the house, just like be there. Buy Christmas gift for the whole of the family, just like to just be there.
Yeah.
And then when she came, I picked her up at the airport. A few things happened on that day. She switched off her phone when I saw her. Then I knew she had a phone because before then, her phone was spoiled and there was no way of communicating.
Right.
But then she had a phone on her when she arrived.
Hmm.
But then I got a new phone for her because she was an Android user. I was
Yeah.
an iPhone user. We wanted to have the FaceTime,
Of course.
and be able to like talk to each other properly.
Yeah.
So we called. She didn't want to call the dad until we got to the house. So we got to the house.
Mm-hmm.
I called the dad, and the moment the stepmom started talking to her, she stopped the call. She switched off my phone, and she told me not to switch that phone on until the next day. I was like, okay, there's something here that I'm not aware of.
Mm-hmm.
So the plan was for her to stay 3 days. I had to switch on my phone the next day. So we went shopping. We were at a shopping mall somewhere in East London.
Yeah.
And I had to switch on my phone because I was off work. And then her stepmom called.
Mm-hmm.
And the stepmom was like, when is she coming home? And I wanted to say, but the dad told me that she can stay for the next 3 days. And
Yeah.
the stepmom says she should come like right now. So we stopped every of the shopping. We went back home. And before I drove her to the train station, we had like a 1 hour. That was the first ever time we had deep conversation. And that was the last time I saw her.
Whoa.
So the conversation, because I'm an IT person,
Yes.
I was already jotting things down on my Trello board about life after she's done graduating that year in November.
That's very well planned.
She was supposed to graduate in November. I started saving up for her flight.
To come and join you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And had plans like, oh, I would probably just go to Nigeria, have a court wedding so we can fix citizenship and the rest of the thing. I showed her all the plans. And I showed her how to meet my parents, the possible dates. I was so detailed about everything.
Yeah. Sounds like it.
And then we spoke about in that board. I had things like what she would like to do as well. If we're buying a house together, everything was detailed. And I told her one thing, saying, for some reason, I think I got really upset with not knowing what was happening with me switching on my phone at that time.
Yeah.
There were lots of unanswered questions at the time that I wasn't just sure of.
Yeah.
There were stories of cousins I don't know that she'll tell me she's visiting, friends I haven't met.
Wow.
And so I told her all of these things on that day, saying,
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening here, but this is the plan. And before we left off to the train station, I said one thing. I said, at this stage of my life, I don't want anyone wasting my time. So if you don't want to do anything, if you're not really interested again,
Let me know now.
please let me know now so I can move on with my life.
Yeah.
And she kept quiet. But there was something really striking all through. That particular visit, she was always covering her belly. And I thought she was just conscious of
No, please
what
don't
she's
tell me
been
this is
eating.
going where I think it's going.
I thought it was her. Maybe she was not really secure about how her body is, but
Yeah.
I totally understand her health condition, so I wasn't really bothered about that.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I thought, okay, maybe it's her health,
Yeah.
of throwing off a few things.
Yeah.
But then I didn't really mean to it. Before we broke up, she called me because the house was at Newcastle. So she called me saying she was taking a train back to London, that she's coming to visit a cousin. I'm like, what's the name of this cousin? She mentioned the name. I'm like, I've never met this cousin ever. We've been dating for 6 years, and you have a cousin I haven't met and haven't visited.
And they're in London.
Yes. So she says she's in London now. That was about 8 p.m. But the cousin, actually, the boyfriend of the cousin called the cousin to go on an impromptu vacation. So now she's stranded in London.
Wow.
And at that time, I was in a rehearsal because we were planning to go to South Africa for something that year.
Yeah.
So I told her, saying, I'm not in the house.
Yeah.
Get yourself a hotel. I booked a hotel, told her to get the direction. And I told her, saying, should I call your dad? She said no.
Jeez.
And I said, is your dad aware that you're going to meet your cousin? She said, no. I said, okay, so where did you tell your dad that we're
You're
going.
Yeah.
She told that story. I was shocked. I didn't really understand what she was saying at all.
Yeah.
So, to cut the long story short, I didn't see her on that trip, and I think that was the mistake I made as well. I should have made effort to see her because I told her to go back to wherever place she was coming from. That you're coming to see your cousin, and then your cousin knew you were coming,
And then
made
they
the
just
key.
go on a vacation.
Yes. And I think that was when she wanted to tell me what was happening.
Okay.
But that is the excuse I'm giving.
Yourself.
Yes.
Okay.
So I traveled to South Africa. She was in Newcastle, and then she traveled back to Nigeria. We've been having communication issues. She had a new phone, but still we were having communication.
So she's got this new iPhone, so you can do FaceTime.
Yes, but we will.
But it's not
once in
really-
a while we'll do FaceTime, and I'll be
Yeah.
excited, like, oh, finally we're doing this. And sometimes she'll just be offline, and I'll be like, what is happening here? And all of a sudden she'll be like, oh, she doesn't have enough data. I'm like, no, you literally have my bank card, so
You've got no excuse.
yes. So there was a day she called me. I remember that I was in church. She called me that Saturday saying she's been at the hospital for 3 days. Actually, her dad called me that she's been at the hospital for some days. And I had FaceTime with her. She had drips everywhere. She was looking really sick. I'm like, what is the problem? I knew she had a health condition, and the year before, I could confirm she's not been having sex.
Yeah.
Because she was supposed to do some sort of test at the time, and the test had to be taken from there. And then she said no because she just wanted to not do the test.
Yeah.
How did I know? Because her dad he even called me to say I should speak with her.
Yeah.
And she said no. But that particular year, she was really sick, and I told her saying, "What's the problem? What's the problem here?" And she told me it was the same health condition. So I told her, "Okay, just relax, take your time. You have my card. Do whatever thing you want to do if you need cash for anything." And that happened. Her dad traveled back to the UK, and then she was still in Nigeria. And in the month of September 2017, that particular week, we were having issues with communication a whole lot. So I just couldn't take it anymore. So I texted her saying, "See, this is the year we're supposed to be setting things and knowing where we're going. If you are not interested again, let's just keep moving." So she told me saying, another cousin is getting married.
Oh my God, there's bare cousins coming out left, right, and center, brother.
Yes, so this cousin is getting married that weekend. After that weekend, we will talk first thing on Monday because she's helping the cousin do a lot of things. And one, I was like, who is this cousin? Why is your dad not even there? Your dad is here. So why is your dad not even there?
Yeah.
And I noticed that dad stopped talking to me.
He just stopped?
Yes. And I was sending messages and he would not respond to me. So I didn't really mean into things. I was like, oh, we'll get past this. By November, things will be fine again. So the Saturday came for the wedding. I was expecting pictures of the cousin's wedding because then she'll show me things.
Yeah.
But that didn't happen. And normally I don't go on social media on my computer. But then that Saturday, I was just going through Facebook.
Deliberately going through Facebook?
I don't know why I was going through Facebook.
Okay.
I was just going through it on my computer, and then someone tagged her picture. She was having a secret introduction, and she was heavily pregnant.
No way.
She had a ring already.
No way.
And all I could say, am I allowed to swear?
Yes.
All I said for 20 minutes was, what the fuck? What the fuck?
For 20 minutes on repeat.
Yeah. And
oh my gosh.
6 years of the commitment, even if just the 6 years of the talking on the phone will probably amount to like 6 months. Like 6 years of thinking this is the person, and all of a sudden she's pregnant.
I cannot believe this.
And she didn't post a picture. Her stepmom posted a picture and tagged her.
I don't know what to say. There's not a lot of instances where I'm left speechless.
Yeah.
I have nothing to say.
She's friends with all my siblings, so my sister was the first to comment on that picture saying congratulations. So I commented about I posted mine to saying congratulations.
Why did you do that?
I was just acting on whatever thing that was going on, and I didn't have words to say. But then I saved the picture, sent it to her on WhatsApp, and I said, for whatever reason this happened, I wish you all the best. And that was
Oh my
all,
gosh.
the only thing I said.
I'm trying to visualize what was going through your mind, and I actually cannot because this has just shocked me so much. How did you feel the moment that you saw that? After you got through all the what the fucks you said, right?
I thought I used to think I just thought she played on my intelligence, and that was really painful. If you want to waste my time, just let me know. And,
From the start, at least.
And not make me tell the whole family about you, and then having to. I think the difficult part was telling my family, saying, "Oh, well, they've been telling me to be serious about something that she's not going to be serious. She's way back in Nigeria. What am I doing?"
Yeah.
And I told them, "Oh, it's pretty solid. Don't worry."
Yeah.
So having to tell them about the story, and well, my sister already found out anyway, but then they were waiting for me to even tell them the full gist. So having to say, tell everyone what really happened was really painful. I remember that year I went to New York thinking I was trying to get over the whole thing.
Yeah.
I probably just damaged myself
Even more.
New York because I did things I wouldn't do on a normal day.
Yeah.
I did things that for that particular week I didn't know myself.
Yeah.
But then I came back again, always checking through social media.
But why were you doing that, knowing that
I was
there's stuff
asking
in there?
questions.
Okay.
I was asking questions, yet I didn't want the closure. I wouldn't say confused now. I just didn't want to hear it.
Yeah. You wanted
But
to see it for
still,
yourself.
I just it's a thing of wanting to know and not wanting to know. So pretty much saying out a picture to say waiting for those pictures to tell me something. So to tell me it wasn't her fault, to tell me she probably lost the pregnancy and then she's coming back to me. So I kept asking all the questions. There are times I cried. There are times there times I'll call my best friend and I wouldn't even have things to say.
Yeah.
There are times I told myself, not let's just move on.
Yeah.
But moving on for the first year was tough. I had to remove all. She gave me this picture frame that someone drew my a picture, and then I had to get rid of all the gifts or everything that would remind me of her. I did not block her first for the first year, but then I kept checking through all our social media just to check for closure, really. But that was really tough. Yeah.
Jeez. I actually don't know what to say.
It left me not interested in meeting people
At all.
I didn't want to. If you say something, I'd be like, I don't trust you. You're probably lying to me.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think the same year as well, I had someone I sent through school that did almost the same thing, but this was a guy. The same year saved $1 million to his hands to help with him coming here. He got into gambling, spent all my money. For the same year, it was too much for me to handle.
So there was so much goodness that you were giving that was being taken for granted in every sense of that word.
Yeah.
I just want to ask one important question. Did she at least apologize to you?
She didn't for the first year. As a matter of fact, the first year, getting my bank card from her was tough. Well, she released it the first time, and then my friend that was in Nigeria wanted to get the phone back, which I didn't tell him to. And then she sent a text to him saying, even me, I wouldn't have the bonus to call her to request for the phone.
Yeah.
And I thought I didn't even request for the phone.
phone,
for her
yeah.
to be bold enough to say that, meaning she doesn't really care.
Yeah.
It was after the first year that she started messaging me to apologize. Well, our friends did, given reasons why she did it. There were so many stories that she was raped. And another thing happened to say she was dating, but sex happened and she didn't know what to do. But then if you were serious with someone, you plan to have your introduction that particular year, or even plan your introduction that year. What are you doing in someone else's house?
Exactly.
How did it lead to sex? So many questions I can answer at the moment, but it's all gone now.
Do you have closure about that whole episode? Or you feel you just
The reason with liars is, you can never get the truth. So she called my friend that introduced us and said a lot of things. But people didn't believe her.
Yeah.
The person she got pregnant for was a scam artist in Nigeria that showed her little money here and there. And I'm aware now that they're no longer together.
How does that make you feel?
I have zero emotions at all towards her, so I don't know how I feel. I'm happy for her.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then I think at the time when those things happen, I told myself, if we're supposed to see it again, what would I say? But now if I met her on the train, I'll probably just say hi and just move on, because at the moment she's pretty much not in my...
Yeah. You're in a completely different space altogether now.
Correct.
So an important question before I wrap this up, are you now ready to meet someone? Do you feel your heart is healed enough for you to trust? Because this trauma can go on for as long as eternity lasts. Are you now in a position to be comfortable to meet other people?
I meet people, but I'm not sure I've gotten to that stage yet of trusting people enough to be vulnerable.
Okay. Hey, for those who've been listening to this particular episode, this was extremely intense for me. I'm still feeling partly gobsmacked and speechless. Hopefully, I'll be able to reconnect with Tabo after we turn the mics off, just to get my words back. But two important lessons: that first of all, communicate as much as you possibly can. And one other thing to look out for are the red flags as they're presented to you. You have an inner voice that speaks to you. Do not ignore that voice, because the voice of conscience is the one that can get us all out of big messes. You've been listening to The Feeling Station. I'm your host, Tinto, and we will catch you on the next episode. Peace.
Tell me what you're feeling.
Satis on Daro Raini and Chagezai.
Tell me what you're feeling. Now that it's over.
Satis on Daro Raini and Chagezai.
Let me talk about my feelings. Let me talk about my feelings, yeah.
Urudoi motor no to kujiziro amai.
Kujiziro amai. Love is a fire.
Urudoi motor no to kujiziro amai.